It's time to clearly reflect. It's time to clearly reflect. It's time to clearly reflect. The Clear Reflect Show. It's time to clearly reflect. It's time to clearly reflect. It's time to clearly reflect. The Clear Reflect Show. Bring in your dirty mirrors. We're gonna get them clean. Digging in a little deeper on the Clear Reflect Show. Working to heal our wounds, securing our peace too. Got plenty work to do on the Clear Reflect Show. It's time to clearly reflect. It's time to clearly reflect. It's time to clearly reflect. The Clear Reflect Show. Bring in your dirty mirrors. We're gonna get them clean. Digging in a little deeper on the Clear Reflect Show. Working to heal our wounds, securing our peace too. Got plenty work to do on the Clear Reflect Show. Gon' get 'em clean. Gon' get 'em clean. Gon' get 'em clean so you can see your pretty face. Gon' get 'em clean. Gon' get 'em clean. Gon' get 'em clean so we can see that pretty face. Get the dirt off. Get the dirt off. Get the dirt off. Mirror cleaning time. Get the dirt off. Get the dirt off. Get the dirt off. Mirror cleaning time. We're gonna shine. We're gonna shine. We're gonna shine. It's time to clear. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. If you happen to catch the replay and it's another time of day, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Welcome to the Clear Reflect Show. I am your host, Valencia, the Visionary Thompson. I'm so glad to see you today. I know you're here, and I'm so grateful that you took time away from your busy schedule, full of all sorts of commitments and things to do, to be here with me. Here at the Clear Reflect Show, we are taking time to do our work, to do what's necessary so that we might heal, let go of things from the past that we've been carrying for far too long, and be propelled forward into the promising future that God has designed for each and every one of us. Welcome. Today, we are on Season 1, Episode 7, Step number 6. If this so happens to be your first time tuning in, the Clear Reflect Show follows along with Broken Leader and the Broken Leader Mirror Cleaning Study Guide, which are my latest publications. If you have not yet gotten your copies, that is okay. You can still join in. But for a more intensive experience, I highly encourage you to grab them. The first place I recommend getting your copies would be brokenleaderbook.com. If you purchase your books from brokenleaderbook.com, I will be able to sign them for you. If you are an Amazon person, you can get the main book from Amazon, but the study guide is not available there. You can also find this bundle on places like Walmart.com, Instagram. You get the point. So I'm hoping that you're going to join in for this great and amazing work that we are here to complete together. All right. So again, we are on step 6 today. And step 6 is gracefully broken. Realizing God uses it all. Gracefully broken. Realizing God uses it all. So, today, of course, I'm going to be speaking to believers who are familiar with this concept. But as always, remember this door is open. And if you're not a person of the faith, that is okay. I believe that there's much that you can grab hold to from staying alongside us on this journey. But specifically for believers, gracefully broken is what I want you to think about today. Now, we've said this time and time again. Nobody welcomes being broken. Nobody sees that as an attribute to have. It is undesirable. You get the point. But for those of us who are a part of the body of Christ, we understand that it's a necessary component so that God's work may be made complete and so that we might be made whole. And I always start out with a question. Today's question is, have you ever broken your foot before? Have you ever broken your foot before? I know it's a very specific question, right? And if you have not, I can assure you, you know someone who has. I have. Yes, I have broken my foot before. And surprisingly, I made it through most of my life up until this point without breaking anything until a couple years ago. I actually broke my foot in 3 places. This occurred because I was sick at the time. I didn't know yet with COVID, and I was extremely sick. And I was trying to get around my house, and I didn't have the energy and strength, and I literally collapsed, and I kicked my foot on a door frame, and I broke my foot in 3 places, y'all. To add insult to injury, I needed assistance, and it was extremely early in the morning, and I happened to be in a part of my home away from our bedrooms. And so I had to hope that my spouse would hear my cries for help and wake up to help me. And thankfully he did. And then I realized I needed to go to the hospital and I needed an ambulance. And would you know that when the people who came, I guess it would be first responders or whomever would come, the EMTs, came, they decided to examine my foot and say, well, you should be able to get up. Your foot's not broken. And being the discerning woman that I am, I heard the still small voice say, go to the hospital. When I arrived, I, of course, tested positive for COVID. And after the x-rays, it was in fact confirmed that I broke my foot in 3 separate places. So I am so glad that I did not listen to the people who were immediately in front of me, but I used the wisdom that God placed inside of me to go get and seek the care that I needed. Now, let's think about this metaphor, which is a part of my life that I've lived. And I actually talk about it in the prologue of this book, of the main book. So make sure you read it and grab a copy so you can get more of that story. But what is coming to me now is this: there are moments in our lives where we may be surrounded by people who don't quite understand something that we're being called to do. And if you are a person who struggles with people pleasing, or like myself, I termed myself previously as a recovering people pleaser, you may be able to relate into checking in the people around you to see if they approve, to see if they might okay or second the thing that you're considering. And I'm here to tell you today that sometimes God will require for you to go at it alone. There are times when there are certain processes that you must endure, that you must carry forth, that you must walk out by yourself. Now, if you're a believer like me, you're thinking, well, of course, we're never alone because God promises to always be with us. Exactly. But I'm talking about being alone away from other people, though you're being called to do something that may feel larger than life or greater than what you believe you may have the strength to carry out. And yet and still, God chose you as the woman, as the man, as the person for the job. Go forth. Gracefully broken. Realizing God uses it all. Perhaps you perceive your present circumstance or situation to be a complete mess, and you're thinking, if all around me appears to be in shambles, how on earth am I going to move anywhere? How on earth am I going to go forward? And I'm here today to remind you that whatever pieces you have, God is going to use them. Whatever whatever it is that you have to bring to the table, it is purposeful, it is useful. And God, being sovereign, knows what you do not know. God knows how those elements and those components are going to be necessary for the road up ahead on your journey. Gracefully broken. Realizing God uses it all. So back to my own testimony that is relevant. Stay with me. Before I had that ugly experience, I had a dream telling me that this was coming. I don't know how early. I felt like it was at least months prior. And to make sure I wouldn't miss the message, God not only gave me the dream, but he gave the dream also to my aunt, whom I'm very close to. Talk about scary, right? And if you're not a person who is welcoming of God's spirit to speak to your life, this may be completely odd to you, and that is okay. I invite you to learn more about this experience. So I had a dream as a forewarning, a dream letting me know that I was going to experience a particular hardship. But the promise was that God would be there with me to endure the experience the entire time. So in the moment when I had this experience, if you are somebody that may have forgotten what all went on in the top of the pandemic, or maybe you've been blessed to not experience a difficult moment with COVID, you may dismiss this. But in the time in which I had this experience, people were still passing away. People were still deathly afraid of what might happen if they contracted COVID. And so that meant that hospital protocols were very meticulous, in depth, and even under the care of medical professionals, I knew I was surrounded by people who were afraid. What does that mean? It means that there was a point in my care, I didn't have a phone in my room because my phone was broken. My cell phone I brought with me, I didn't have a charger and I was afraid it would die and I wouldn't have outside communication to tell my spouse how I was doing. And I was left in this bedroom in the hospital for periods of time alone. And I realized that I would need to advocate for myself to ensure that I would be properly cared for. I even had to get a bit stern with one of my nurses and say, hey, I can tell that you don't want to come in here with me. And that is okay, but I need you to bring me X, Y, and Z so that I can make sure I have what I need. Now, by the grace of God, that touched her heart and she changed, how she was regarding me. Because I kind of felt like they were throwing things in the room from a distance, y'all. I'm not exaggerating, but that particular nurse modified her care and put her fear aside and then began to pay more attention to me. So all of that is, I'm mentioning these things because this was the beginning of a period of isolation for me that I know was orchestrated and designed specifically by God. It became necessary. How many of you know that sometimes we can go about our business in life and just get into a routine or a regimen, something that we practice daily, and because it's what we've always done, it just seems that this is the flow, this is what we should be doing. And it could have absolutely nothing to do with what God needs you to be doing. I know, I've lived it. And so, as a visionary, there's a reason why I call myself Valencia the visionary. As a visionary, God has given me great vision over the span of my life. I'm flooded by ideas. I'm a natural creative and things just come to me. And that's why I write so much, so I can remember and record things in my phone. But like you, like the next person, there are moments when I've struggled with fear. There are moments when I've struggled with complacency. There are moments when I've struggled with stagnation. Especially if you watch last week's show, I told you that when I was younger, sometimes I may have been told I've been doing too much or I am too much. And you can take that on and just kind of shrink a little. And you can take that on and say, well, if mediocre is the way, then maybe I need to join in. Or though I know you created me this way and I'm flooded by all these thoughts and great ideas, maybe I should suppress them because nobody's feeling them anyway. Or nobody seems to care. And as a daughter of God, as a follower of Christ, I'll say it boldly and proudly, God wasn't having that. God was not having that with me, okay? So in my period of isolation, and yes, I indeed became isolated even when I came home. So understand at that time, again, we were afraid of COVID. So I was blessed that my family took my children. So my children were gone. My spouse also became sick, though he wasn't as sick as I was, but we separated from each other. So he was upstairs in the bedroom. I was downstairs. And so I had several moments of isolation. In those moments, again, orchestrated by God, God began to download so many things in my spirit. I began to hear God clear as day. And I was pursuing God with as much of my energy as I could because I didn't have a lot of it. And what was downloaded in my spirit were 3 particular projects that I had known about or started years prior. And for whatever reason, whether it be life's disappointments or getting into the regiment or being a mother, you get the point. For whatever reason, I put them to the side. One of those projects was this very book, Broken Leader. Broken Leader, if I can think properly, y'all, was released finally, I believe in 21, but it may be 22. But this project was on my heart several years prior. I'm afraid to count. Several years prior. And the term broken leader was actually a word that was prophesied over me by a complete stranger at a conference before I had the pleasure of holding my own conference that God told me to hold. And I sat on this for years. But when you have an up close encounter with the Almighty God, you can't deny it. And I dare say, not only would it be frightening, but I think it'd be foolish to be reckless and skip past that word. So, because of my moment of being gracefully broken and me coming to realize that God uses it all, this project was finally birthed. And of course, it was able to include new components, new testimony, because I lived through more things. But today, it's not about me. Today is about you and whatever it is that God has long since called you to pursue, that you are sitting on because of fear. Whatever you are afraid of is not worth denying who you've been called to be and whatever you've been purposed to do. Come out of hiding. It's your time. The world has so many needs today. There's a lot of darkness. There's a lot of confusion. And there are things that have been placed inside you that can help cure some of the dis-ease. Come out of hiding. It's time. All right, y'all. So, if you have your books, I want you to turn your pages with me over to step 6, which is page 45 in the study guide, Broken Leader Mirror Cleaning Study Guide. And the first question for your homework is, what does being gracefully broken mean to you? If you don't have your book yet, write it down. What does being gracefully broken mean to you? Number 2 is a call to action. Identify how God has broken you gracefully. Identify how God has broken you gracefully. As we wrap up, I am recalling the moments of my immobility temporarily, how I regretted the days I didn't run in the grass and play with my children when I was stuck behind a computer, how I regretted not running and taking my physical health more seriously, all those things. I'm here today to ask you to not find yourself in a similar position. And if you have, that is okay, because today you're coming out and all that God has purposed you to do is being brought forth. I thank you so much for your time. I thank you for your attention. And that is all for today. If you have not been tuning in to my sorority sister Keontae Lomax's show, Everyday Ease, it airs on Fridays at 8 a.m. on LinkedIn and YouTube. And she is giving you your tips for peace and productivity. And I want to say, if you found your time with me to be beneficial, and if it's aiding in your personal development, I want you to do a few things. I want you to continue alongside me for the journey. You can do this in several ways. I want you to please grab copies of this bundle. If you're watching on a platform where you may like, love, or subscribe, I'm asking that you do so. And currently, this show airs on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And it also, after it's recorded, I put it on the Broken Leader Book website, so brokenleaderbook.com. So, it is my hope to see you next time, and I can't wait to see you further along in your healing journey. God bless you. Have a wonderful day. Until next time, go in peace.